Oh my god, a lifmunk effigy! Capture rate!
Yes, I will lower your capture rate.
Wait, what?
I said I will raise your capture rate.
Okay, good. Hello then, my fellow pal trainers, base builders, and general, wanton destroyers of the Palpagos Islands. I hope you are having a wonderful day, gleefully stuffing innocent creatures into your prison balls. I love it. But I wanted to sit down and have a little chat about a couple things. One of which just happened and is very important and you need to know about for your palling, and the other is something that's coming in theory quite soon that's also very important that you need to know about for your palling. And then a few little extras. So first and foremost, there was very recently, like hours ago, a big old patch for the game. And while the actual number of changes are small, the impact of them is much, much less so. So, major fixes then, and this is the second big fix patch. Well, now we no longer get the save data corrupted when you're over 7,000 pals, which perhaps might be a niche issue, but certainly some that I know have run into, and obviously it's a really bad one to happen and kind of heartbreaking, so that's very, very good to see. And it's retroactively fixed saves too, which is really good. We might see a few world revivals. Then no more grenade blipping out weapons, which is very much niche. Then the big one. See, before this patch, you were ironically lowering your capture rate by gathering and spending lifmunk effigies, which is the exact opposite of the intended mechanic and what it visually shows you. I didn't realize until it was too late and I'd upgraded it loads, and I imagine a lot of you were in the same boat, so now it's actually been corrected and you can spend your effigies, you can get your bonus capture rate, and it makes a huge instant difference. It honestly felt kind of weird that it did seem to sort of not do much, but now you'll notice steadily higher capture rates, and it makes it a lot easier to get those trickier endgame pals, even when you're using the best pal sphere that you have access to. So this is absolutely fantastic to see. Then we get a breeding solution in the form of a pal would infinitely go to sleep if you manually put it in a breeding farm, which was something that I actually ran into without realizing what was going on. When I was making my cataver to Shadowbeak in just 6 breeds, which you can go have a watch of. I'm really happy with that breeding chain, took a lot of working out, but the Massander as part of it would just fall asleep and then infinitely stay that way until I noticed and reassigned him. And until now, I didn't realize that was actually a genuine issue, and that no longer happens. It is quite amusing that just mid-breed, you know what, I'm out, and I am never going to wake up, I'm done. In any case, that's very much good to see, and then just a little wood fix, which is nice, and general cheats and exploits countermeasures, which are really also nice to see, because honestly, why would you cheat in a game like this? You're kind of robbing yourself of your own experience, and the world settings are essentially inbuilt actual legit cheats too, but I guess at the same time, if you're not on a multiplayer server and you're just in your own world, do whatever, right? You're not hurting anyone, you're having your own fun in your own way, and that's always where I am on these kind of things. I realize it's not like some big issue in Palworld, but whenever this comes up, I just like to reiterate, if anyone's cheating in a game and it's not affecting another human being, go for it. If it is, stop, you scumbag. In any case, that is nice to see, and also is nice to see the promise of, well, more development happening, more fixes, more major problems going to be solved, and just generally things happening. And generally things happening is also something I want to talk about, because although this was announced a while ago now, I've not really had a moment to properly take it in and speculate, and it's very exciting. And that is the future of Palworld. Literally, the roadmap that we got. Obviously, the addressing critical issues has happened now in 2 big impactful patches, and it's good to see that continue and actually be followed through on. In any case, though, that's not the main one here. The main one here is obviously Pyrin with that incredible, majestic, fiery head-to-head. Now, the main one here is the planned future updates. Though, first, the improvements to base Pal AI and pathing is still something I feel like really needs to happen, and more. So many of my bases, I've been really happy with them aesthetically, and they're really, like, coolly designed, but the actual pals just can't go anywhere. How often have you guys been sat there, and maybe it's just me, but you look at your top right, and you have starving, hasn't eaten in days, literally wasting away, cruelty, and you're like, no, you're just stuck behind a bloody wall, go eat, just go round to the left, my god, pal. And that just is something that I would really love to see resolved. I think pals should be able to just kind of get to where they need to go, even if they have to cheat a little bit with the geometry of the terrain with what you've built, just kind of let them sort themselves, because I have spent way too long fishing pals out of weird places in my base that I didn't even know they could get to in the first place. So yeah, I would honestly, it's probably my biggest single issue with the game as a whole right now, and yes, it's early access, there are bugs, that's fine, but as my big suggestion, and by suggestion I mean we've all experienced it, it's not like it's a crazy one to suggest, but it is my number one issue, and it is let pals just kind of get to where they need to be and do what they need to do with a lot more leniency to the actual setup of your base. But then, yes, the planned future updates. This is very exciting to look at. PvP, I mean, just those three little letters, that's quite amusing. Because imagine PvP in Palworld, obviously our traders, us, with our assault rifles and rocket launchers getting involved. Are we going to be able to attack each other, or will it be a pure pal PvP? I'd kind of like both, right? A no holes barred, no rules, just go for it, arena, use everything, and then also a pure pal situation where you really are just watching them fight each other, you know, like other creature catching games that shall not be mentioned. And hopefully that is what the Pal Arena, being separate from just general PvP, is with the PvP for pals. PvP meaning, hey, maybe you can just attack other people like you can in like Ark Survival Evolved, other camps of traders at their base in a multiplayer server where there's different groups of players, and then the actual Pal Arena being that pure pal battle. But that might imply there isn't going to be a Pal Arena where you can also help. It's just general overworld PvP and then pure pals, so that still might miss that third category. I would really like that, and I think it would give a much bigger incentive to properly breeding up a perfect pal, because you really don't need a properly perfect pal to destroy everything currently in game, which may be addressed by raid bosses, where you will probably need that perfect pal to really get through, actually using it well, both riding and off, helping it properly with your own support and damage, and the idea of hopefully a new pal to serve as the raid boss, not just taking an existing one, making it bigger, giving it more health. That would be nice to see. Actually, here comes a brand new crazy pal, and it's also a boss, and if you beat it, you can capture it, or at least get a baby version, or, you know, so on and so forth. But essentially, super alpha pals, or even super legendary pals beyond even those encounters, or a tower boss-esque experience that's turned up to 11, yeah, that would be really, really cool. Even if it might need loads of people to combat, that would be quite fun. Then we get to go on to Steam Xbox Crossplay, which is just nice, quality of life, right? More players with more players, and general improvements to the Xbox version, and then server transfers and migrations are really nice to see too, for, well, general updates with the times as people move on and new people join in. It's good to have that flexibility. Improvements to the building system, yeah, I think that's definitely something to take into account. There's a lot of awkward places and setups where you're just not allowed to build something, even though it makes sense that you should, and a little bit of creativity that's blocked by it just not physically working when you're trying to do angled and smoothed and sloped roofs and walls. I've run into that quite a lot, so that's always good to see. More pieces the better. I already love how detailed and fun you can get with just aesthetic buildings, making your base look like you want it to, both externally and internally, so if that gets better, great. But then, new islands, pals, bosses, and technologies. Firstly, new island, I mean, yeah, that's phenomenal. Obviously, the island is set, right? We know what's where the pals are. It's not random when you load it up. So getting a second map, in essence, much like Ark did too, would be a really nice way to justify a whole new playthrough, a whole new experience. Different distributions of pals in different areas, but also new pals to populate it too that you go there for. New cool base locations, new towers, or new bosses, or this is where the raid bosses start showing up. Different biome focuses, or entirely new one. There is infinite potential as we start expanding islands. Even just expanding the existing map with another island the same size of it to make it one giant map, I'm not opposed to that either, though it might get a little bit too much to handle. And then new pals, yes please. I really do like the design of like most of them, even though a lot of them are shamelessly just that from that. I can't help it. It's just a fun game and I like the PAL designs. There's just something about them. So the more the better as far as I'm concerned. And that comes with, yes, bosses, probably more humans and their pals, more towers, and tying into the raid bosses as well. And then I imagine the level cap will eventually be raised, which gives us more tech, and we might start getting properly future-y and lasers and shenanigans, and you could totally see that happening. It's the kind of world where they could put essentially anything in, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah, very cool. All right, like that. Yeah, nice. And I can't wait to see how that actually evolves. So bottom line, with the patches that have already happened and the planned updates, I am quite hopeful for, you know, stuff. It's been phenomenal covering this game. It's been phenomenal playing it, doing the Pro and Noob series. That's been so much fun. You guys have loved it, and honestly, it really makes my day seeing the happy comments. And Palworld's just been a great start to the year and how just purely joyful it is. Everyone trying to take it down with all of these issues, air quotes, that don't really matter, because at the end of the day, when you just make a fun game, then you're good, right? It's just a nice, fun game that's not doing anything predatory to its players, which is just refreshing. It shouldn't be, but it is. And yeah, it's a wherever you fall on the scale of rip-off to perhaps homage/parody, but at the same time, it's still very distinctly its own creation, and a blend of genres and playstyles that I've certainly not encountered before. And yes, it's a little bit similar to their previous games, which they have left in early access and not really finished, which is perhaps a concern, but I have to imagine with Palworld's insane success, which is, by the way, insane, millions upon millions of copies sold already. Like, the actual fact that Palworld is a Steam record breaker in concurrent players, like, technically, it's not statistically inaccurate to say that Palworld is a more successful game, at least at launch, than Elden Ring. And Elden Ring was one of the most successful games of all time. It's nutty cuckoo bananas, and I'm so happy I'm here for it. In any case, yeah, you'd think they'd see that and properly give it the attention, and it seems like that is indeed the plan, and I just think it's cool that we're kind of experiencing this big sort of thing in gaming together. It might be a fad, it might die down, it might continue and live on, it might inspire similar games, hell, it might even inspire bloody Pokemon to step up their game, because recent entries have been fine, but nothing special, and I really do feel they are falling behind. But I do think overall it's been positive and will continue to get more so, at least for the time being, and I kind of wanted to sit down and have that talk with you after going over what's new and what's coming. Let me know your thoughts on this whole Palworld craziness, and for now, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a good
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.